Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep into the core ideas of Ryan Holiday's incredible book, Ego is the Enemy. We're going to talk about why our biggest, most persistent obstacle might just be the one staring right back at us in the mirror. So, if you're someone who's ambitious, who's talented and driven, you've definitely asked yourself this question. You probably point to the competition, or maybe a lack of resources. But what if the biggest roadblock isn't out there at all? What if it's right here, inside you? And that, right there, is the central argument of the book. For anyone with big aspirations, your worst enemy isn't the person in the next office or the company across the street. It's an internal one. It's your own ego.
All right, so if we're going to fight this enemy, we first need to get a really clear picture of what it is we're actually up against.
Now, we're not talking about the Freudian ego here. The book defines ego in a much more practical way. Think of it like that little petulant child that lives inside all of us. The part that needs to be better than, more than, and recognized for everything, way, way beyond what's actually useful. The performance artist Marina Abramovic just nails the danger here. The moment you start believing your own hype, you kill the very creativity that got you there in the first place. Ego is the enemy of getting better, of working with others, and of any kind of real, lasting success. The thing is, Holiday argues that ego attacks us at every single stage of our lives, when we're aspiring to something, when we actually achieve success, and yep, even when we fail. It's this constant battle. But for today, we're going to focus on that first and maybe the most crucial battleground, aspiration. So let's really zoom in on that first battlefield, the aspiration phase. Why is this stage so important? Well, because this is where we forge the habits that are going to define our entire journey. It's our best shot at taming our ego before it gets a death grip on us. So let's dig into 3 powerful antidotes from the book.
Okay, so the first big trap of ego and our first antidote is all about talking about what we're going to do instead of, actually doing it.
Holiday uses this perfect cautionary tale. Back in 1934, the author Upton Sinclair ran for governor of California. But before the election even happened, he published a book called I, Governor of California, where he wrote about his victory as if it had already happened. He had already played the part in his head, and the result? He kinda lost interest in the hard, grinding work of the actual campaign, and he got crushed. And what's so fascinating is the psychology behind this. Talk depletes us because, as research shows, our brain can literally confuse talking about a goal with making progress. It drains your motivation. But work fuels us because the act of doing, of making real progress, creates its own momentum and energy. One is like a short circuit, and the other is a flywheel that just keeps spinning faster. So this brings us to a really tough question you have to ask yourself. The first strategy against ego is just silence. Let everyone else talk. Let them slap each other on the back and chase validation. You be the one who's quietly, relentlessly focused on getting the work done. All right. The second ego trap in this early stage is a really fundamental choice we all have to make. Are we chasing the appearance of success or the substance of it? This is just perfectly illustrated by a guy you've probably never heard of, military strategist John Boyd. This man completely transformed modern warfare, but he's almost unknown to the public. Why? Because he intentionally avoided promotions and the spotlight just so he could focus purely on doing something that mattered. And he taught this critical lesson to every young person he mentored. He'd sit them down and say, one day you will come to a fork in the road. Down one path, you can be somebody. You'll make compromises, you'll get promoted, you'll become a member of the club. Or you can go the other way, and you can do something. You might not get the fancy assignments, and you'll have to stay true to yourself. But your work might actually make a difference. And that's really the question life puts to all of us, isn't it? Are you focused on your job title or on your purpose? Are you choosing to be somebody or are you choosing to do something? Let's talk about the final ego trap in this first phase, and honestly, this one might be the most dangerous of all, pretending we know it all, which completely stops our growth in its tracks. Holiday shares this absolutely wild story. So on day 1, a young guitarist named Kirk Hammett gets his dream job. He joins Metallica. On day 2, he plays his first massive show. I mean, he's made it, right? You'd think so. But on day 3, he did something that's just mind-blowing. He found a master guitar teacher, a guy named Joe Satriani, and he became a student all over again. See, Hammett understood this timeless truth from the Stoic philosopher Epictetus.
You literally cannot learn something if you think you already know it. The ego loves to believe it's an expert, but that very belief is the ultimate wall that blocks you from ever actually gaining new knowledge. So, this idea of being an eternal student, it means you're like a sponge. You're humble, you're open. You aren't motivated by the ego's need for applause, but by a real, genuine desire to just get better. And that, right there, is the path to true mastery.
So, to wrap up this whole aspiration phase, the crucial takeaway is to actively practice these 3 strategies. Number 1, talk less, do more. Replace all that chatter with silent, relentless action. 2, choose to do something over trying to be somebody. Focus on purpose, not on status. And 3, always, always stay a student. Because in the end, that's what it comes down to. Ego is the enemy of the things you want, and it's also the enemy of the things you already have. This fight isn't some one-time event, it is a daily practice. So the real question isn't if you'll manage your ego, but how? What is one small choice you're going to make today to choose substance over status, learning over knowing, and actually doing the work over just talking about it?